Oh,
That'd
be great.
it's off season.
It's off season.
And I did have I had champagne in Florida State at the golf tournament. It's bottomless mimosas. Bottomless mimosas when you win. It was
Not a bad
celebratory
deal.
first weekend in Florida State. We're recording now. Red button's been hit. I'm sitting in the blue couch. This is a different spot for me. Tries getting the content we need.
We are live on the SANDCAST podcast right now.
Live on the SANDCAST podcast.
Ew.
So we're stacking up. This is a different kind of fan question episode. This is a specific one about the AVP League. So when we open up the fan question episodes, usually sometimes someone gets on the hot seat. Try you were on the hot seat a couple times. Now the AVP is on the hot seat. So this is an AVP League specific fan question episode. I chose to be the moderator, seeing as I have nothing to do with the league. Meanwhile, we have Savvy Simo, Reserve All-Star, Corona Socks, looks great, great fit. Tri Bourne, also Reserve All-American.
Booyah! Very involved.
Crushing it.
Very involved. You're about to head down to Miami.
Yep.
Sav, you were at UCLA.
It was.
I was streaming from Florida State. Can't say I was watching the whole thing. I was mostly watching Georgia versus Kentucky, college football. Tough to compete with football.
Yeah.
But you were there, Sav. The most common question is, what are everyone's thoughts? So just for listeners' sakes, too, we're recording this after league, the week one of the league and before week two. So this will come out a little bit later. But our thoughts after 1 week of the league. You were there, Sav. What'd you think?
A lot of things, like, because me and Evan were both the alternates for that weekend, so we took on a new role as fan, spectator. I mean, fan's a strong word. It's tough. It's like a weird spot to be in, but definitely the spectator role. And I'm biased because I went to UCLA, so like I thought the setup was amazing. I think the players thought it was amazing. The only thing about the setup that was tough was the sand was pretty shallow, and there was no warm-up space. Other than that, I think the venue was great. I thought the structure of it was great. Unfortunately, not the turnout that I think everyone wanted. But again, it's tough on a Saturday during college football. Also, UCLA is the quarter system, so students aren't really on campus. So, because we haven't started school yet. So
UCLA still hasn't started school?
No, not till like
Holy
late
cow.
September. Yeah. So that I think they wanted to do like discounts for students and stuff, but the students aren't in school. And any students that were in school probably were at the UCLA home football game. So kind of a tough weekend to pick. But as a spectator, if they want to keep the format of like 4 matches back to back to back, I do think that the sets to 21 with the tiebreak to 15 would have been really long. Like, and again, like I'm in a different role. I'm bitter to not be playing. So it's like weird being there the whole time.
Right.
But I do think for that purpose, the sets to 15 makes sense. It was different. Like, no technical timeouts, I think, make it tough for the commentators to tell stories. I think it's tough for Mark and them to kind of get the crowd fired up because there's only X amount of timeouts. Like, so
Right.
it's kind of a funky setup. I think technical timeouts are so important for those like media pieces and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's promising. The coolest part about all of it was watching the teams cheer for each other. That was like a really cool thing that like you don't normally see unless you're friends with someone. That was a really cool piece that I think was probably the highlight for me. Just seeing the whole weekend is seeing like, Team Smash, like they have the hashtags going on, and then the best part actually was Brooklyn Blaze. Sean Cook, Cody Caldwell, Megan Kraft, Therese Cannon, when they announced the teams, they're kind of trying to figure out the flow. Do they announce just the girls pair before they play, or do they announce the 4 of them before a match? It's kind of trial and error. But they did a match where they announced all 4 of them, and they all went in the middle and grabbed a blunt and smoked a blunt like a fake blunt. And Megan Kraft doing that was the best.
Wholesome Megan
was
Kraft.
the best.
They did the Rogers and Garrett Wilson. That was their.
Did they do that?
Was it?
Yeah, all 4 of them came in and went like this.
Yeah.
Yep,
Oh,
they
that's
went like
hilarious.
this. They went like this with their blunt and
Cheers
smoked
and
it.
smoked.
And seeing Megan Kraft do that was the highlight of the whole weekend.
Meg and T, like the
Both
most
of them.
wholesome team possible.
Both of them. It was iconic.
Rogers and Garrett Wilson, they smoked. grab it, smoke it, and then they put it out on each other's helmet.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome.
It was so good. It was so good. So yeah, that aspect of it is really, really cool, really special, something we've never really seen before. And all the league players, they have to stick around the whole night. So it's cool, you know, if you're the home team, you stick around and do some fan engagement stuff. Like Troy and Tim and Betsy and Julia, they were the home team. And I mean, Troy is Troy. So he's running around like a crazy maniac, entertaining people. He's built for that. So yeah, a lot of cool things, a lot of things that need to be worked on still. But yeah, that's my take. Yeah.
One thing with the media stuff that you mentioned, the storytelling is because we know the matchups so far in advance, at least they can do more storytelling before. I think they've done a better job of building it up to that match.
Yep.
Which is cool. I thought that was a huge plus to it. And then the shorter sets was it basically makes more opportunity for upsets and less opportunity for blowouts, which are both entertaining, obviously less entertaining blowouts for fans and more entertaining when you see upsets and stuff. And just throughout the league, like you don't want certain teams just losing every match, you know?
Yeah.
And playing to 15, like how often do we have matches go to where it's 15 all, but like that one team pulls away 9 out of 10 times, you know, when it's a heavy favorite. Yeah. Now, anything could happen. And we did see it. The lower seeds took the first set a lot of times.
There were a lot of comebacks in the short set, which I was shocked to see, like teams up 10-5 losing. Like that happened multiple times this weekend where like, and then they kind of go overtime and whoever wins. But like I was shocked to see the amount of comebacks in that short set. That's something that I wouldn't think you would see. I don't know. I think there's an unspoken pressure that I think people are putting on themselves with their male or female teammates watching. Like I don't know if they feel that pressure to like win for them because it counts. Like everything it's tied together. But yeah, there was a lot of comebacks, a lot of people getting tight in the later parts of the short set. And I played that set in Chicago, or that style.
Right.
And it's real fast.
You played under even more pressure.
Well, yeah, we can talk about that.
All or nothing.
Whatever, but
that was a question.
Yeah.
If you're all right,
I don't
know if you have some PTSD.
No, yeah.
So I guess Sav, can you just fill in everyone? So in Chicago, you came in, and did you know that you needed to beat? I think I went into Chicago under the assumption that April and Alex would have been given the wild card. That wasn't a surprise to me. What were your expectations of what you needed to do to get into the league going into Chicago?
Yeah, so obviously me and Abby Van Winkle were tied with Kylie DeBerg and Hailey Harward in terms of the qualification aspect of the league. My only thought going into the league was our first match was against Lexi Denneberg and Deanna Kraft, who had a 7th and a 13th, I want to say, or maybe it was a 9th.
I think 9th in Huntington, or
they took
7th in Huntington.
And I don't remember if it was the 13th or 9th, but they were our first match, and they were like kind of next behind us after it was them and April and Alex were like in the hunt. And so coming into it, the AVP made it clear that they had the ability to use a wild card at any point. They could use up to 2 wild cards. So the rumor that April and Alex getting a wild card, some players knew April and Alex were getting a wild card. I don't know, just the position I was in. I had no clue. I actually was hearing rumors that they weren't getting one. I was like, oh, April's getting married and like all these things. I actually was hearing the contrary, like, which is crazy now. Like, obviously they're going to get a wild card. Like, but when you're in it and you're that close, you're grasping at straws. Like, you're like, oh, maybe they won't. Like, maybe they won't. Because I'm hearing rumors from like pretty reliable sources that they're not gonna. Like April just took the new job and all these things and they're kind of over it. Like looking back, that's so stupid. But like in the moment, I really was like hopeful and thinking they weren't, or maybe they were offered one and they weren't going to take it. I don't know. And so going into Chicago, I was so nervous to play Deanna and Lexi because they were behind us. We're like, if we can win this first match, that puts us in a really, really good position to be in a league spot. And then of course, like the Hailey Kylie thing, but you know, we were tied and like, I wasn't really thinking about them. I was really thinking about that first match. And then we go and play Taryn and Kristen. We win the first match. Then we go play Taryn and Kristen We actually have match point. We came back down 14-12. Abby rips a freaking, probably the most insane serve. I didn't see it, but I went back and rewatched it. From the bad side, went at her back, rips a jump serve and aces Kristen, which doesn't happen ever.
Right.
And then we have another play where she almost aces them again, overset. She swats it, so we're tied 14-all. And I think we even went up 15-14. And then I had a chance to. We're up 15-14. I'm sitting in the middle. Kristen comes out of the middle. She cut shots it like in my lap, and I don't know if it was like just the adrenaline, and I dug it over. We lose the point. And looking back after all the drama with the league, like that. I lost sleep over that one play because if I dig that and transition, we win. We take an automatic fifth. We're in the league.
Right.
So that play and another play or two from Manhattan had me losing sleep. But anyways, so we lose to Taryn and Kristen. Vibes are high, though. We played freaking amazing. Go into the next day, we play Megan Rice and Brooke Bauer, and that was kind of an uncertain game. Like, you don't know what you're going to get from them. We had just played them in Virginia Beach, and it was a great game against them. Like, we both played well, and we came out really flat, and they played really well that weekend, and so we got our asses kicked, and we immediately go watch Hailey and Kylie. They're in a third set battle, and I'm like, I think it was more a subconscious thing, but I like couldn't breathe. This is when like all of my anxiety kind of started, because I've been having really bad panic attacks for like 3 weeks now, but I go to watch them, I get super lightheaded. I had to leave their game because I think I knew, like I wanted, unfortunately, like they're my buddies, but you don't want them to win because then they're seventh, we're eighth, and then it's up to chance if they use a wild card. So they lose. We're tied for seventh, and I go to the ocean, and I start hearing rumors that we're going to have to play this golden set to 15 to tie break so that one of us is seventh, one of us is eighth, and then April Alex get the wild card. And none of that information came from anyone from the AVP, or like it came from someone from the AVP, and it was like telephone that got back to us.
You're
and
just
I'm like,
hearing from random
what the
fans.
I'm like, excuse, a set to 15? What are you talking about? Haley's looking at booking flights home. Like, I was looking at getting a drink in VIP. Like the tournament's over. Mm-hmm. We don't know what's going to happen, but whether they used a wild card or not, I felt pretty comfortable. They had not discussed what a tiebreak would be, but I felt comfortable knowing that Abby and I were kind of on the come up of our season. We had just beaten the Olympians. We went to all 3 tour series and won 2 of them. So I was hopeful that, like, again, they never discussed a tiebreak, but I felt comfortable knowing, like, where we were at and what we had done, and that put us in a better position than Hailey and Kylie.
Yeah.
Like, we took a 5th in Manhattan, which is arguably toughest to do out of the, because it's bigger draw, whatever. Mm-hmm. So the 4 of us, me, Abby, Hailey, Kylie, kind of discussed like the rumors we were hearing. We addressed it with the AVP, and they didn't have an answer for us until a couple hours later, where they pulled us all to the side. And I did some pleading with some people, like, we cannot play 1 set to 15. That's absolutely ridiculous. Like, how can something so important come down to 1 set?
Right.
And ultimately, it came down to a game that they said we were going to have to stick around till the next day on Sunday and play a game after the finals of the tournament. And everyone, the 4 of us, were like, dude, you think we're going to, like, go to sleep tonight knowing we have to play this do or die match? Like, and they're like, we can play in front of the fans. It's going to be a great kickstart to the league. And we were like, dude, for who? One of us isn't in the league. The loser isn't in the league. So the 4 of us agreed amongst ourselves that we wanted to play that day and get it done with. So the next couple hours were pretty brutal. We come back and play, and it was the most intense match I've ever played in my life. Like, more than a national championship game, because, like, I don't know, like, there was no one there. A couple people, because it wasn't announced. We didn't want this to be this big spectacle. Like,
probably haven't played for 40 grand either, right?
Never played for something that big. And you started thinking about
20 each.
Yeah, but you start thinking. But if you think about, like, I started thinking about it like this. Like, Evan and I are getting married, and we're trying to build a future. And, like, he just heard the news that he doesn't even get to play. Whoever finished better in Chicago got the tie, which is frustrating because, you know, maybe if these things are discussed before, then it changes things maybe. And, like, at the end of the day, like, people, I've been called bitter, I've been called dramatic, I've been called a couple of things based on this situation, but no one really was in the situation and understands it. And, like, it was pretty traumatic, and I'm still kind of coming off of all of it. But like, for me and Evan to both feel pretty comfortably in the league, comfortable is a strong word, but like you feel like you did what you needed to do, and then you're not in it like kind of this quick. To lose that much money and to lose like I said, Abby and I had our momentum kind of going, and we were just excited to keep playing and to keep proving ourselves and to keep getting better, and for that to be kind of taken away because of one match against our friends. Like, immediately after the game ended, I crumbled, and the first person to come pick me up was Kylie DeBerg, like in tears, because no matter the like, it's horrible for one way or the other, and it was, there's more details to it all that aren't really relevant at this point. I just think and I'm trying to move on from all of it, but if they want to make us play off, then that's on them. If they want to use a wild card because I think April and Alex are marketable, like, how can I argue that? Like, I can't argue that. Like, and they told us a wild card was possible. I just think overall it was just the communication that's the problem, and I've talked to them, and we've kind of moved forward. We're on good terms, and I'm still processing. I'm still struggling with my day-to-day, because whatever they think about it, like, it was a pretty traumatic experience for me and Abby. Like, Abby felt like she had an ulcer for like a week. Like, she couldn't like eat. She couldn't like, I haven't been able to eat. I haven't been able to sleep. I'm actually like getting on medication for the first time in my life for my anxiety and depression for the first time ever in my life. I'm taking that step because I can't get my shit together, and I'm sure it's been years coming, but this event was almost like a catalyst for like this crazy spiral I've gone into. And like, we're just trying to move forward, and like I said, people can think what they want about it, but no one really experienced what it was. Like, people that were at that game were like, that was the most tense volleyball game I've ever watched. None of us played really well. Like, none of us, like, we all like were so nervous, and it was just, it was like a movie. I wish like, so we like Frito was there filming like the behind the scenes, because you literally could have made a movie out of all this shit. It was pretty wild looking back.
Kyle friend was sitting next to Kelly Chang watching. I was lifting, and Evan was texting me updates every switch, but Kyle said he was sitting next to Kelly, and Kelly's like, I don't know who to cheer for. This is the most tense match I've ever been to in my life, and Kelly's been in some big ones.
She's been in some big games. I've actually connected with Kelly Chang since, because I played them in Hermosa, and I forfeited against them because I was having such a bad panic attack, and I was so drained. Like, I don't really know what happened in that game, but I had to forfeit, which I've never done in my life. And I've gotten close with Kelly Chang about my mental health and stuff, and we've confided in each other about some stuff. It's been cool to like connect with other players through this and talk about her experience post Olympics and stuff. So she's been really a special person to talk to, and it's been really cool to see someone be so vulnerable, someone who's my competition, like be so vulnerable with me. I feel like we've grown a friendship out of this, and it's I really do support her now and throughout the rest of her career, just because we've made a special connection through that. But I saw her, I saw who was there, and like, all of our UCLA girls were there, and that was special for them to all be cheering for us. And like, but it was, you almost like blacked out. Like, I almost like don't remember like the game.
There's so much out of your control too in such an important moment. It's just inevitable that it's going to be really tough. If you lose it. It's a familiar feeling of like every time I've lost the Olympic bid, it's almost like an identity crisis, because as competitors, you don't put any of that doubt, any of that losing option in your mind, right? I'm going to make it. I'm good enough. I'm going to do it. And then you don't. You're like, it feels like an identity. Like, this isn't me. Like, and especially in this situation where it's so clearly like you guys could easily belong in the league, should be in the league, whatever. Could be better than a lot of things. That's kind of how it felt for me too. It's like, there's no part of me at all that thinks I'm not one of those players, but I'm not in it. It's like, what is this?
Yeah, it's like an identity crisis. Like, it's like a weird, like, although our goal, like, for the last couple of years, my goal has been the 2028 Olympics. Like, 2024 wasn't even, like, it was the 2028 Olympics. That's, like, the goal. But, like, when you see how the league is, like, forming and you start playing well, it's like that, in that moment, like, that becomes your short-term goal. And, like, when you don't achieve that goal, like, like with the Olympic run, it's like and everyone processes things differently, but it's like your world's collapsing.
Yeah.
Like it's like you're shattered. Like my heart was shattered. I don't even know how to explain it. I think that was the worst volleyball moment I've ever had in my life. Like, and I've lost national championship games, like, you know, stuff like that. And like, I don't know, I think because it's our career and what we do, it's become our whole identity. And Abby and I have come a long way that it was like,
it's like a grieving process. Even though mentally, you know, it's not as important, but like physically, you kind of live it out like something bad, really bad has happened.
Yes,
and then mentally, you're like, I shouldn't feel this way because it's just volleyball. But
right. It's still your livelihood.
It's real.
It's just the way you live it out. Yeah.
Abby literally goes, I haven't felt this way since my grandpa passed away. That was like that night, because we went home and like everyone's like, let's go to dinner and celebrate this amazing season. Yeah. And Abby literally, I haven't had it, like, thankfully, like, haven't had to experience the passing of a family member, but Abby's grandpa passed away, and she's like, I literally haven't felt like this since my grandpa died. Yeah. Like, something just stripped from you that you care so much about in that moment. And again, call me dramatic, but like, for lack of a better term, it was kind of a traumatic emotional experience to like to go through it.
I've been in it with you too.
Yeah,
100%.
So it's,
and I've been through a lot of these.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this one sucks just as much as
it doesn't get better.
All the other ones for sure.
So.
I feel like what Savvy did is like a country quota on steroids.
Yeah.
One match
Kinda
for
right.
everything.
Yeah. But except like instead of that tournament on the line, it's like the season.
It's 8.
Yeah.
It's so much money that Evan and I could have, like, me and Evan both make the league. It's 40 grand going in our joint. We just made a joint account, which is really exciting news for as a couple. But like, that's 40 grand going into your account with the potential to make more if your respective teams do well. That's a effing down payment on a house. Or that's like a wedding times 2. We're probably gonna get married in Mexico. Like, that's like wedding covered. Like, it's like crazy financial like stuff that, you know, and I've moved past that.
Just think of it in like 5-10 years. You'd be like, that 40 kind of blended in, and like wouldn't. It's not, you know. Back at that point, it's not gonna really. You're not gonna look back and be like, oh, we'd be so much further ahead if we had that.
Yeah.
But no, I have to like get the money part out of my head all the time.
Yeah.
Especially like what I believe I would have done if I was in the league and then made the championship.
Right.
We don't need to go there.
It's out.
We're like rehashing old wounds. And like trying to heal.
You're like
up,
counting.
Like,
well, all the potential earnings you have throughout a season is where I look at it.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is how much I could earn, and that's on the table for me this year. So like coming up short, and especially when you have great sponsors and stuff like that, and that's the other thing, sponsors. That's a huge not being on this stage for them is bothersome and feels like an identity crisis as well. Yeah, like I'm the guy to be out there. Right, I should be. Like, this is my job. Yeah. Anyway, let's get into more questions. I'm sure.
Yeah. Welcome to SANDCAST Therapy, everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always therapy session. It's
from Rick Banis, AVP Rick does a great job setting up all the events. Thoughts on the league? We've kind of had that. Will it succeed?
Yeah, Gina also had some great thoughts on the league, so listen to her podcast about it. Will the league succeed? Clearly, we don't know, is the real answer. I'm the most optimistic I've ever been, I think. I've been through a few. I came in right after like the bankruptcy and then, the beginning of the Donaldson era. Maybe even a little bit before that with the Cuervos and stuff, and the changes they've made, where I see it going. I think that, I don't know much about the management besides the normal AVP crew that's been there, but adding in the McKibbins I think was really important. I like Bobby. He seems like a straight shooter, and he's honest and like can have those difficult conversations, but he's not BSing you. Stuff like that's really important. And I think they're smart. I think there's no way they could have done it perfectly this year. It would have been impossible to please everyone and do every little thing right. But yeah, I'm the most optimistic I've ever been. And if they were to like break off from what they're doing right now and go back to the old, I would be bummed.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at on it.
Yeah. I think, will it succeed? I mean, anytime someone starts a new sports league, your answer, an educated answer, should be no. Everyone
Right.
looks at the NFL, MLB, NBA, PGA Tour, and they see the just gargantuan amounts of money that are coming in, and they're like, "Oh, sports leagues are hugely profitable."
Right.
But there's something like 500 sports leagues in the United States, and like 4 of them make money.
Right.
It's so hard to make money.
Well, the big ones take away from the ability from the small ones to succeed, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's a competition. It's not like, oh, there can be 40 NFLs. Like, no.
No,
There can be 2 or 3, right? MLB, basketball, football, and baseball.
Yeah.
That's like it. And even NHL is like not nearly as big as them, right?
Yeah, and the NHL is still pretty
Comparatively
big
massive,
money
for sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's all with if the AVP League is going to succeed, there needs to be a TV deal. There's no successful professional sport that doesn't
For
have
sure.
a TV deal.
I mean, you got to access the fans.
Yeah,
On
that and
mass scale.
you just need that money too,
Yeah.
and that starts with putting fans in the stands, it was tough to see that turnout. But I mean, the AVP's defense, the turnout for the Hermosa Open was also shitty.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty surprised that there weren't that many people that showed up,
Mm-hmm.
and so maybe
It was the promoters for most
that's on
joking.
me.
That was Trav.
So I'm intrigued to see, because Texas has been talking a big game. Intrigued to see how those stops go.
Yeah, Texas, come on, show up, people.
Show up.
What you guys got? What you guys got? You want to keep a team?
Yep.
You got to earn it.
Show up for the Austin Aces. Talking to you, LJ. Kev Bo asks is the AVP League profitable? Certainly not yet. I don't think any sports league in the history of sports leagues has been profitable year one. I'll let you know another one, real quick one. Who are the owners of the teams at the moment? The AVP
Yeah,
owns all of them.
there's no owners. Yeah,
And I think maybe future plans that they will sell off the franchises, but at the moment, the AVP owns all of them.
that's just kind of rumors too, by the way, right now. Like I don't think they want to give an answer out on that yet.
Yeah.
Or be stuck to any certain narrative.
So maybe that would be coming out. Maybe not. Maybe they'll just keep all the ownership. Sav, back to you. What are y'all's predictions on the AVP League final rankings? Any sleeper picks? I think we can all agree that the New York Nitro are going to finish on
We can all
top.
agree that New York Nitro. Yeah, I don't know who made the teams, but yeah,
Someone messed up.
don't know who did that, but New York Nitro should be stoked. And yeah, but sleeper teams. That's a good question. I'm thinking San Diego Smash.
San Diego Smash.
Tony
being-
Rodriguez, Gina Urango, Miles Evans, Chase Buttinger. I
Okay.
think that Gina and Tony are playing really, really good volleyball,
Yeah, look at
and they're
these.
on the upswing of their season. And obviously, Chase and Miles are Olympians, and they've been playing good for a while. So I think that team will be pretty solid. I think. Let's see. Yeah, I got to pull up the teams really quick.
So we got the Austin Aces are Kristen
Got
and
'em
Taryn,
here.
and
Well,
team
I
coach
think-
dad,
yeah.
Billy Allen and Paul Lotman.
I think that team will do well too. I think Taryn and Kristen are so steady. Like, I think they will do well. I think it's going to be interesting. Besides New York Nitro, I think everyone's pretty evenly matched. Like, Brandy and Mel are so good. They're matched with Avery and Phil.
The Palm Beach Passion.
Palm Beach
Phil having to
Passion.
get up for just 15 sets to 15, like if he can get up for that and
Yep.
like, be Phil, I mean that could be dangerous.
Phil's always dangerous.
It's a good
Also, I think the biggest wild card is Trev and Theo with April and
Yes.
Alex. Like,
yes.
what April and Alex are we going to see? They literally both got married since Chicago, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
Yeah.
Which to me sounds like a bunch of big parties and eating delicious food and not training.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, those girls know how to train hard and get themselves ready. They've been a shell of themselves, like completely understandably, having kids and whatever, all that's been going on for them. But man, if they've gotten in shape and like been like can get up to like 80% of what they can be, that's a pretty stacked team right there.
I'm sure they feel the need to, and I could be wrong. They may not give a shit about this because they're way more big scale, but like there was a lot of controversy on social media between like them getting the wild card and us being like, I don't know if you looked at any of the posts, like I was deep in it. I had to get out of it because I was so deep in the spiral after Chicago. But like if they feel any need to prove themselves, like then they'll come to play. They may not care at all what people think, but like they were getting a lot of scrutiny on social media for getting the wild card, and like I don't think that was fair. Like at the end of the day, it was the AVP's communication that was a problem. It's not them versus us. Like
Right.
I have nothing but respect for them. They're deserving, like all these things. But if they are looking into those things and that fuels their fire, then they could play.
Did
really
you have a little
well.
extra something when you played April in Hermosa?
That's a good question. I don't really think so.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think so. Maybe if it was the two of them together, maybe. I don't really I don't play well when I'm angry or out of spite. Like I'm not that type of player. Like I play
good to
when
know
I'm
that about yourself.
When I'm fiery, like I need to be fired up, and I've learned that this year to like be fiery. But it's not like towards another team or person because I'm such an emotional player. So like if I'm angry at someone and I try and use that, like I don't think that's like puts me at my best versus like just being fired up for my partner. And also in Hermosa, I was in before that match, I had such a bad panic attack the match previous that I was so just like trying to get by. Me and Abby did play really well, but also April played phenomenal. Like she played with Lexi and
Lexi DeBerg.
Yeah, of course April's, let's serve April. She hasn't been playing, but like anytime she got the ball, she was pretty terminal.
Yeah.
So we had to go after Lexi, and me and Abby, unfortunately we know Lexi really well, so that plays to our strengths. But I don't think so. Maybe a little part of me, but I don't have any animosity towards them. Like they haven't done anything. Like they're just there.
And any fans waiting into the comment section saying that April and Alex have something to prove, I think, how's the gold medal taste, guys?
Yeah. I mean, this year they haven't played a full season, been full of training, but every single one of these us players wants this tour to succeed, and there's certain things that need to happen, and we need the most entertaining, the people who can bring in the most fan base. So they're the ones who can do that.
So back to the original.
Kind of like Tim and Troy, by the way. And
LA launch.
They can get real hot, and it's like game to 15. They can beat anyone and any single day. When Troy's Troy,
this is a great format
one
for
of the
Troy.
best players. Yeah,
entertaining.
And it's entertaining.
Yeah,
it's short.
vibes.
It's just like he could go off for a set. Timmy's just, you know what he's going to be.
Yeah.
Just a solid like ace across the board.
0 errors ever.
I have a hot take. Although the Brooklyn Blaze started out with a shaky weekend, I think they'll do pretty well. Meg and Therese are playing really good volleyball, though they didn't win any this weekend. Like they're playing really good.
They just got to finish.
Yeah, they're playing good ball, and Sean and Cody are kind of wild. Like they can, but like they compete really well with everyone. So like I think they can beat anyone at a given day as well. So
it's a tough pick. It's tough. I think it. I don't want to keep bringing it up, but if they had made that clear switch of draws, it almost would have been perfect.
Yeah,
even
across the boards, even all the way across.
Yeah, and that clear switch being switching Kelly and Sarah with Meg and T.
Yes.
Or Sean and Cody with the Taste.
Which still though, Taylor's with Megan
T.
and T probably would be my pick.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
If they did that. So either way.
But yeah, so we got the let's tweak the pick. So pick our 4 playoff teams. Going Nitro, obviously. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
Left
not
the
gonna
name.
let that one go all year.
I'm going with Kristen Taryn,
Yep.
Team Coach Dad, Austin Aces. That's my 2. Give me the passion.
Yep. I
Melon
agree.
Brandy.
Agreed.
Saw Brandy a couple minutes ago driving a whip, and a really nice whip. And I said, that's a good silver medalist car.
That's
Oh yeah?
It's a sick little Beamer, Brandy. And number 4. I feel
Dallas, LA, Brooklyn, San Diego, Miami.
Yeah, I'm going Dallas. Andy and Miles
Ooh.
with Kylie and Haley.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who's out there?
Yeah, so
Trev and Theo are out.
the Mayhem are out.
Mayhem.
San Diego Smash.
Launch.
The Smash are out. I feel bad picking against Betsy and Julia and the Launch, but it's a team effort.
That's tough, Coach.
I know,
You're
it's
really out into the college game now.
no. It's just I know that Betsy likes a chip on her shoulder.
Right.
You know,
You're welcome,
This is all just going to motivate
Planning
her
this
more.
is me coaching.
Yes, right.
And that leaves. I forget who the last team is that
Brooklyn
I left
Blaze.
out. The Blaze.
Yeah. The Smash.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why the Blaze. I get it. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So those are my 4.
Yeah.
Cool.
Any edits on those?
No.
Cool. All right. Which tweaks would you make to the league moving forward? Nick Glom. I'll hand that to you.
I mean, it's so early on. I don't really have much feedback in terms of tweaks. I just hope that it evolves into this. What excites me most is this kind of ownership GM groups around each team, because I believe that will incentivize these owners or GM, whatever it turns into, to really promote and build their teams and like become part of the competition, right? Like now they're competing to build this team or this business, this franchise. And I think that will bring in some of the big dogs, and we'll get just more people involved in making these teams succeed. And I think that will trickle down to a more entertaining product for the fans and more on the line for the athletes, which is what we're looking for.
Yeah. I think first tweak I'd make is having a draft, an actual one. And so I think realistically, you probably only need 1 reserve team per gender. So you take the money that you're allocating towards the second reserve team per gender and you pay 8 GMs and you have a draft and you televise it. I think that would be, even just stream it on YouTube. Because then now you don't have questions of how did Taylor end up with Kelly and Sarah. And it's fun. And then you can just spin that into material. Like everyone will have hot takes on the draft. And I think that would be my biggest tweak of how, and then just clear communication on just everything where it's being streamed. Because they didn't even say where it's being streamed until like the day of.
Yeah, well, actually, that's the biggest tweak I would say is our sport as a whole needs to get away from confusion.
Yeah.
And it's still hard for us, and I know it's going to get there, but we can't have fans confused. Like, if I explain to them how cool this sport is, they need to be able to, okay, when and where do I watch it, and I go, this is how you do it, this is how you do it, this is how it works, do it. And they're like, cool, let's go. Versus like, oh, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. I don't know if it's worth your time. Like, that's how it almost feels.
Yeah.
And we need to get away from that. Fans need to be able to understand it, where to watch, and just bingo bango, come be entertained. Simple. Here's your team. Here's who to cheer for and why. Boom.
I think that's one of the reasons that people like SANDCAST a lot is we're very transparent. Like when we mess up, we're like, fucked up the audio again. Sorry. This is what happened.
Well, it gives us credibility, I think, right? Yeah. Like the fact that we're willing to speak honestly about the AVP also makes it valid when we do say good things about it. It's like, yeah, we know that they're not just saying it because they like the AVP and they want to be helped by them or whatever. It's like, we're not saying it. We're not doing anything for them. They're doing a good job, and that's what we believe.
Yeah.
I have a question. Do you think that like I feel like as an organization they don't want, because there's so much uncertainty right now with like where it's going to go and what the season's going to be, they've just gone like less is better, like less communication is better, so that they're not like making false promises and stuff. But would you prefer an organization to like, because I feel like they don't want to seem unprofessional, so they don't want to say like, we don't have our shit together right now, we're still trying to figure it out, which is totally fine. Like we know this is like a test year, like trying to navigate things, but a lot of people don't know that. Like, do you think the fans would respect it more if they just were like, look, we're under new management, we're trying to make this work, like stick with us, like this is a test run, like we still have these things we're trying to navigate? Like, would that be more or less respected? Because it doesn't seem like the AVP is getting the respect it deserves because they've not communicated stuff, which almost looks even more unprofessional.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know. You can't really come out and spread that message either. I mean, think about from a business standpoint,
Yeah.
you know, saying that, and you're trying to get all this whole business package together, and you're trying to sell people on your product, fans, businesses, brands, all that kind of stuff. So you have to be confident in what you're doing and like have it all together, and then you don't want to backtrack either, right? You don't want to say something. So you might know that something's going to happen, but you don't want to say it because you know it also might have to change.
You don't want to make false promises. Yeah.
Right, and then you're backtracking all the time and
Yeah.
like, actually we can't. And then that sends a message in itself as well.
Yeah.
And then also there's the too much cooks in the kitchen thing, where if you're over communicating with the players, now they're giving you their advice and they don't feel listened to because you didn't listen to what they said. And you're like, we're having these meetings internally. We know these things, but there's a lot of reasons why we can't do it right now or whatever. And I think that's the hesitation. And I don't think they're doing perfect. I don't think anyone could do it perfectly right now. I just don't think that's on the table.
Yeah. Because I think
So,
Bobby and the
I just
management,
can't judge it.
I think they're very confident in the product that they're building. From what it seemed from the conversations that he's had with us and I've had with him, and like the way everything's going, I think he and the management is very, very confident in what they're doing. But because of the lack of communication, it almost seems like I think it is tough for the fans. So it needs to be, hopefully come next year after this whole test run, I think they want to go in the direction of a draft. I think that's the direction they want to go in, which I think would be super cool. So hopefully it does get better, because I think they do believe in their product a ton. We all believe in it and want it to succeed. So hopefully it all gets on track.
Yeah, I think if a sport was starting with a completely clean slate, I think you don't have to communicate all that much, but the fact of the matter is that since 1996, the AVP has overpromised and underdelivered for almost 30 years.
Right.
And I think that if people were just honest, it would go such a long way. And like when the AVP, a couple years ago when they canceled the Atlantic City Pro Series or whatever, and they're like, oh, due to logistical stuff. And it's like, no, you can just say it's a shitty beach and the players hated it.
Right.
And like
Everyone's
you can
feet burned and there was needles in the sand.
and everyone can read through the BS, and then they put the business speak on it. It's like, we know what you're saying. You can just be honest about it.
I would like to see it, the communication be opened in a way where it made the fans and the players and everyone feel like we're on a team together to build this thing together, versus like we're doing it and there's that tension in between, and like fans are making things up and you should do better, and like versus that honesty you're talking about, where it's like, and I don't even know if it's really realistic, you know, but where it feels like, man, like the fans want this thing to grow, the players want this thing to grow, the tour wants this thing to grow, and we're all working together to really grow this thing. Like a communication to that extent where we could actually do that would be ideal. But yeah, like I said, I mean, can't really judge it right now. Like I can't imagine if I was in their shoes, like the decisions that I'd be like hesitant to make.
Yeah.
Based on what's on the table and how much time they've had, really.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. I just think it's because it's so easy to kind of curate an image, and there's just so much, everything's a facade now, that I think the easiest way to win people over is just to be honest.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
Well, that is, I mean, most of the questions are kind of repeats, so we'll finish on this one. I like this one from Merrick's. Do you think the AVP League is the way forward, or building a 10-plus stop tour with a championship would be the way?
No, I think the league, we've tried it the other way. Obviously, there's different tweaks, like having an actual championship would have been nice, you know, in the tournament formats. But even just a random championship at the end doesn't work as well as we want it to.
Yeah.
Like we used to have the championships, and it ended up not meaning anything. So I'm all for what's going on right now. I say we dive into this. I think fans just got to be patient. Once you understand what it is, like the model is built to suck you in. Like I'm sucked into NFL and NBA and all this stuff, you know? Like purely a fan of it, and I enjoy watching it. And I think we just got to give them a little bit of time to build this thing out. I mean, we're 1 week in as we record this, so like, I'm personally very excited about what it's going to be once they get me out on the court.
Tries all in on the
That's
league.
all they're
Boom,
missing.
year 2, baby.
That's all they're missing.
Tries
guys.
back. Or maybe reserve.
I saw it this year. I was like, you know what? It's a developmental.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys go play.
Sit out.
You go play.
Get yourself right.
When you need daddy, come call me.
Sav, what do you
break
think?
that confidence.
No, I think it's super promising. I think it's crazy because it's never really been that successful, but everyone's very stuck in their ways and like think that the old school way is the right way to do it. And I just think that I'm an old school thinker too, so I'm like, bring the freaking bikini contest back, like whatever. But times have
The
changed.
first girl I've heard say that. Actually.
It's good.
Whatever sells, right?
It's usually
Sav?
65-year-old men.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was working then, but times have changed. Like,
Right, yeah.
you can't do that now. And
Yeah.
like, life's just different. And so, I think this is super exciting. And like, for me, it was hard. Like at first, it was hard to get on board. So bitter. I was like, "Fuck the league."
Yeah, exactly.
Bleh. And
It's like
I was just-
F them,
yeah.
but why?
yeah,
Like,
I'm just bitter. I'm just bitter. At the end of the day, I'm just bitter. I'm not playing. And
yeah,
like,
exactly.
that's really all it is. And it's just taken me some time to reframe my mindset on it because at the end of the day, I want to be playing the sport as long as possible. And I think if this model goes well, like we could all be doing what we've all wanted to do this whole time, like actually playing and making a really good living doing this. I think it'd be cool to see it grow and have more teams in it, whether that's just more cities having one men and one women's team, or if they go more the college route where each city has like they have 3 teams and it's best 2 out of 3. Like I don't know the way they want to go with the real draft and stuff. I think it'd be cool to keep the Manhattan Opens, like the kind of the famous ones, but I hope it goes really well, and we'll see in the next couple of years. Even next year may be kind of a we're not sure how it goes. It's going to take a couple of years, but
let's lean into it, people.
yeah,
I'm
let's be
over the
hopeful.
old format. Been there, done that. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
There's a few people out there who enjoyed it, but we're not trying to get a few people to enjoy it. We're trying to get everyone to enjoy it and just make a super entertaining product.
Yeah.
Let's move on, people. Come on. You don't need your athletes having played 3 grueling days. Like, look at them. They're tired out there. This is so entertaining. Like, no. You want us flying around, jumping hard, playing our best ball.
Yeah. I think both could succeed. If I had to pick one, I'd do the 10-stop normal tournament. And what I would change is I think what people when people say, well, do it the old school way, what no one mentions is that the old school setups were so cheap to put together. So Hermosa was an old school setup. The whole event cost $210,000, and that's with prize money. And obviously there was no staffing, and it was Mark and I chipped in and sent emails where I could and just made whatever connections. So, but that's such a sustainable footprint. When you look at Manhattan is a $1 to $1.5 million event. Chicago's a $1 to $1.5 million event. You could have 8 Hermosas.
Boring.
And for so cheap. And I think
I'm not interested in playing in those anymore, though. You know, maybe fans like it. Maybe I think a lot of players would like it. But I'm like, man, once you've played on the big stage and for more, like I want more. I want the lights. I want the stands and like if it's just one match, even better. Like, let me get ready all day long and just, like, prep for this one moment. I want that good. One big good bite versus, like, 10 okay bites, you know?
I like 10 leading up with a regular season championship.
We spread in that cream cheese too thin on my bagel. I'm like, if I can only get one good bite, let me just get one good cream cheese bite. And then I'll deal with the rest of the bagel later.
All right, I'm outvoted. League, old school. Tri wants the full bagel.
I want a full bagel with full cream cheese. Strawberry cream cheese.
All right, team. Good AVP League fan questions. Thank you to all the fans for writing in. And we're about to record another one that's going to drop about a month from this one.
Appreciate you.
Back to back. Sav will still be here in the Corona socks.
Not going anywhere.